Okay, I'm gonna break something down to you all. I had to turn this truck off because I wanted to be this. I wanted for this to be clear as possible. Now I follow my brother Donta Fortson, and he basically, going through this information showing that the black slaves that were brought to America are Hebrews, Israelites from the tribe of Judah. Now I'm gonna break this shit down as possible as can. He's been debating Mr. Brown, Ashkenazi Jew. So he asked what's the origin of Ashkenaz? Basically, I can break down there in just just right here sitting. You had these groups that he brought up the Scythians. Now, if you all don't know about the Scythian ethnic group, Scythians are an Indo-Asiatic stock of people. They are what you would consider your Indo-Aryan stock. Now, don't get that confused with the Aryans, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white Aryans of the German of Nazi Germany. We are Nordic people. That's totally different people. Totally different ethnic group of people. These people, the Scythians, were nomadic. What you would consider a pastoralist people. If you all know what pastoralist people are nomadic people that have herds that migrated with their herds of sheep, cattle, and goats to certain pastures. They were a nomadic group, a semi-nomadic group, or a nomadic group that had herds of cattle, sheep, and goats. Well, the Scythians or their ancestors domesticated the wild horse. They domesticated the wild horse. They were the first people to domesticate the wild horse. So what happened is they made a bondship with horses. First they used chariots. Then they went to ride, just completely riding on the horses. They domesticated the wild horses. Mostly the same kind of species of horses that the Mongols pretty much used on a lot of their invasions that most of your Central Asians used at the time. Because keep in mind, horses were basically one of the last animals to be domesticated by man. The dog was the first. Cattle and sheep and goats were domesticated. Cattle and goats were domesticated in Africa. Which they don't want to give Africans credit for the first ones to domesticate cattle, and that spread throughout from Africa all the way to Asia, where people started domesticating cattle. Well, the Scythians domesticated the horse, their ancestors, and from that moment on, the Scythians they invaded parts of Iran, and they became what you call your Indo-Persians. That's where you got your what you call your academics and shit, the academic Persians. Your academic Persians, they are all the same stock. The thing is, the academic Persians started being a settled people because they ran into the Kushite people and they invaded ancient Babylon, which was controlled by the Kushites. And they took up a lot of the ways of the Kushitic people and started building like the Kushitic people, the ancient Babylonians, and the Sumerians and the ancient Assyrians, which were all Cushitic. They don't want to tell y'all they were not Shemitic, they were Cushitic people. They were black people. So the Indo, these group of people became nomadic people, and they were used a lot by the Persians because the Persians needed people that were good at the bow and good at riding horses. So a lot of the Scythians, since they had kinship with the academic Persians by ethnicity, they were in a lot of the military campaigns of the Persians in the Medes. So how they became the people. These people they disappeared a long time ago, and the Scythians got basically swallowed up by the academics because they were related to the academics. So they became settlers. They became settled people. They settled into cities and shit like that. Well, another group of people that came out of the Central Asian steppe near the Altai Mountains, known as the Huns. The Huns were pushed out of China by the Warring States period by Shu Huangdi, the first emperor of China. So they were pushed out. They were basically conquering the shit out of the fucking all. They were conquering the shit out of China. So eventually the Chinese drove the Huns out, and the Huns or the Gok Turks as they call were pushed further west. The Huns tried to invade India and took parts of northern India, but they were pushed out again by the Guptas. Well, what happened is they were pushed further and further west until they came into contact with the what you call the Eastern Roman Empire. This during the time when the Romans will have a lot of the battles with the Germanic people, because the Germanic people were actually fleeing from the Huns. The Huns were killing them, enslaving them, and shit like that. So the Germanic tribes, the Romans, during the first century AD, kept on getting into battles with these Germanic people, but they didn't know where all these Germanic people were coming from, into invading parts of northern Gaul, Germania, Gaul, and shit like that. They were getting pushed into the Roman Empire, but the Romans didn't have an idea why all these Germanic people were getting pushed farther west into the Roman Empire and getting into conflicts with the Romans. Well, Romans lost a couple legions to these German tribes who were getting pushed out by the Huns. The Huns up under Attila around what? I think 378 around what? I think 278 AD started getting into pushing further and further west into what you call that area of the Ukraine, or what they call near what before even you had Kiev. So what happened is they got pushed into into Asia by all into Europe by these Huns. Well, this shit came to a head with Attila the Hun, and they had a battle outside. They called it the Battle of the Catalonian Plain, which they finally defeated Attila. Well, Attila died. Some say he was poisoned. Some say his Germanic wife that he married um, gave him a drink, and he died from a drunken stupor. But some say he was basically poisoned by his wife. Anyway, these nomads were pushed back further back into Asia, and they formed what you call. They started selling. They created cognates. The cognate that formed after that was the cognate of Khazaria. Khazaria was a northern area north of the Caucasus. What you call today that control the Ukraine, or what they call the Ukraine, that area. I forgot what I know what they call it. It'll come to me. But they controlled that area north of the Caucasus, and they became very powerful. Well, later on in their history, they started getting pressured by not only the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, but they was also being sandwiched in by other Turkic tribes that were moving further west, that were pushed out of the Altai Mountains. This is where you get your Seljuk Turks and all that. And later on, down the line, they would become the Ottoman Empire and shit. But anyway, they were pushed by these other Turkic groups into this area known as what? North of the Caucasus known as Khazarian, and it became a kingdom. Well, they were getting pushed from the south by the caliphate, by the rising caliphate of the Muslims in the south, by the Umayyad Caliphate. They were getting pushed by them, and between the Byzantine, the academics, or at that time they became what you call that empire that took over the academics. They became the I can't think of that Turkish empire. It'll come to me when I get off this. But anyway, there was pressure. So what happened is the Khan, he was trying to find a religion to follow for the Khazarian people to follow. Well, they didn't want to be Muslims because Muslims had too many restrictions and they drink a lot. They didn't want to be Christians because they didn't want to obey the Christian laws or all the Christian laws. To them it was just as strenuous as the Muslims. So what happened is you had Jews that migrated to the north. Those Jews converted them. They was converted to Judaism with expediency. So that's how you had these Jews that converted these Khazars into Judaism, and that's how you got your Jews, what you call your Ashkenaz. That's where your Ashkenazi Jews come from. So when they converted to Judaism, the Khazaria fell due to invading Turkic forces like the Seljuks and what you call the Kipchak to the Bulgars, other Turkic tribes that took over their region. They just collapsed. And they basically, those people who converted to Judaism, they moved into Europe. And they formed what you call, they intermingled with the Germanic people, the Celts and shit like that. But they kept their German, their Jewish identity, somewhat of it anyway. So this is where your Ashkenaz come from. That's why most of your Ashkenaz didn't even speak a Semitic language. They spoke a mixture of what you call Yiddish. Yiddish was a language that was mixed between Turkish, Latin, and what you would call your Turkic languages and your Germanic languages at the time. That's how you got Yiddish. That's why the Jews they didn't have no written language before. They had to create, because they forgot they created the Hebrew alphabet. Now the Hebrew alphabet was basically a language that came by the mixing of Arabic, ancient Syriac, and ancient Syriac and ancient Aramaic. That's how you got the Jewish alphabet, because you didn't have the Hebrew language, the Hebrew alphabet didn't exist, just like Arabic didn't exist. Arabic was a language, the Arabs didn't have a writing system before the Prophet Muhammad. They actually was still reading Aramaic. And most of the Arabian tribes at that time were speaking Aramaic, and to the north they were speaking ancient Syriac, which Syriac and Aramaic are what you call Asiatic, the Semitic language basis, which the Semitic language came from the Afro-Asiatic language base, or basically the Cushitic speakers. That's how you got Arabic, Aramaic, and ancient Syriac, but they don't want to tell y'all. So that is how you got your Ashkenazi Jews. That's the best way I can explain that to you all. But I don't know no better. I'm just a trucker. I don't know shit. Like they say, I read a lot. Got books out of my truck, but hey, it is what it is. Over and out.